How are you this week? Very well. Well, fairly well. Coping. Up and down. These are the only phrases that really do justice.
Up and down. This week I've been up and down. The last couple of days in particular have been gray, and I feel kind of gray. I just feel kind of like bleh. The best day I had was probably a day I went out with a friend. We rode our bikes to a park, and we sat, and we social distanced, and we took off our masks, and we had a chat, and then we put our masks back on, and we played some ping pong.
This week was very emotionally busy week. Every day, somewhere in Japan, there was earthquake. Two big one hit Tokyo. The next day, there was thunderstorm, like 2 hours long, very close, and we experienced blackout. It's like the nature is saying it's not only corona, but there are earthquakes and also there are thunders, so be aware.
With the restrictions loosening, sort of things are opening up a little bit again, which is exciting and great. But I have a few plates in the air, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Life can be like this.
I have been feeling a bit emotional and depressed, probably because I feel like I'm not getting anything done or doing anything productive.
I am stopping pressuring myself to be active and productive. So there's a new stability with the kind of psyche that's evolving, which is, I guess, a marooned kind of psyche.
My mind and my body is slowly adjusting to be back at work, because we are now on, as I said, on level 4. It's been eased out a little bit. So now we're back in studio, we're shooting.
Hoping not to go back to the level of busyness that I was operating at before, though. Really want to take these lessons in doing less through with me to whatever's next.
You can go into parks, and nurseries have started to open up, although we've not sent our child back to school.
The schools and the nurseries are closed until the end of May. If I want to, I can go to parks and I can go to restaurants.
It's now allowing the facilities that had been shut down to reopen. And then 2 days later, we are faced with the second biggest cluster infection in densely populated clubs.
We now will be allowed to have up to 10 people gathered outdoors, and I think it's up to 5 people in indoor spaces at any one time.
There's still no gatherings, even private gatherings that are more than 6 to 10 people. But because my mother is so vulnerable, I doubt that I would go to a gathering of 6 to 10 people.
Whichever building you enter, you are screened and you are sanitized. If you are going to work, you must have a permit and you must have a mask of some kind, like, oh, this vibe.
Not very well.
Late decision making, late actions, no clear directions.
There's a massive problem with the clarity of what we're allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do. You must go outside, but don't go outside. And you can use the park, but don't go in the park, and don't talk to your friends, but you can speak to your friends now.
It was a novel feeling and a good feeling when the government did eventually, put in place some pretty stringent restrictions. I kind of felt like, oh, wow, this might be the first time in my life that I've witnessed, the Australian government doing something that was primarily motivated by the impulse to help people.
But then also I feel like I have to add as a caveat to that this is something that no leader has had to face
It's not World War One. It's not similar to World War Two or to World War whatever. It's a new war. So it's a war that our soldiers and our president and our government wasn't ready for. So no one knows how to deal with it.
They are doing what they can with the conversation, but the conversation has not evolved in 2 months. What are the long-term ramifications emotionally and psychologically for us, for the planet? What about relationships, careers, the functioning of a city? All of these things, I think there's a great opportunity here to think about these things. It can be very, very creative time.
There's no federal department for the arts anymore. It's been rolled into like transport and communications, and arts doesn't appear in the name.
The people that are running arts sector or arts and culture sector are people that don't know nothing about it. I'm an actor. I cannot just now decide that I'm going to run defense force, or I'm going to run sport, or I'm going to run netball, or I'm going to run basketball. I am an actor. I know nothing about that.
Ever since the coronavirus outbreak has begun, the government has tried to assist artists with financial aids. So that was since February.
Arts organizations, which are large and well established, have funds coming in, but I suspect that's mostly going to end up supporting administrative staff.
All artists create 10 minutes video, and then they will choose who and how much they're gonna support. But I think it's not so good for live artists.
They're announcing a number of grants. There's all these grants for digital stuff. They have tended to want to support work that propagates messaging that aligns with their agenda.
I've got real fear this week about whether some of the theatres that are closing now will ever open again. I'm not sure. But I also think we are incredibly resilient. Artists do what they do because of their passion for their work. I think we'll keep making work, and even if we have to do theatre in fields and on hay bales and in barns, instead of doing it in big flashy theatres in the future, then that's what we'll do.
I went to shrine with my family just to calm us down, and then suddenly all my tears are coming up. I couldn't stop crying, and then my daughter was watching me and wondering why are you crying so hard? I realized that they are only seeing the future, and for them it's bright future. So maybe my role is to support them before thinking about my art